Yo, what's good, bro? Let me find where the hell did I put that message at? I'll put an emoji. Let's see. Better get to doing push-ups, boy.
I've set a 2-minute timer. Okay, it's my rest timer. So, yeah.
Whatever you say.
49 push-ups. I'm doing a countdown. Okay, just want steady progress.
Yeah, be right back.
I am the Lord of this call. You all pay homage to me. Just want to make that clear. So, what is your daily sacrifice to your God? Is anyone here? There's only 5 people here, me included. Steven, what's your sacrifice? Yusuf, you as well. Jacob left. He chickened out.
I'd sacrifice a goat for you.
Good man. Good man. It's a worthy sacrifice. I'm very hungry right now. Will come in handy.
Your eye healed up well, dude.
Excuse me?
Your eye, it healed up pretty well.
I know it did. Thank you very much. I was very paranoid about that. It's like I didn't want to hop on another call and have like this black eye. You know what I mean?
It looked bad, dude. I thought you went to your first boxing class and got your ass whooped or something.
No, I got into a fight with my dad.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I got my ass handed to me. Bloody nose, all that shit.
Holy shit.
My lip was bleeding, so
Holy shit, dude.
it was bad, but it was kind of it was my first fight.
Mm.
Oh shit, I got to do my push-ups now. I'll be back.
Give it to work. I honestly have no idea what I'm gonna talk about today, so figure I'll just fucking riff and we'll see where it goes.
Oh god.
How are you guys doing today? What's up with you guys? What are you working on?
Pretty good, man. That was spontaneous. Like every time I see you posting like the Zoom call, it's like I'm right there, like, oh, let me jump on.
Yeah. It's perfect time of day. I know when everyone's taking their breaks, I'm like,
What time is it for you?
it's like 2 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see. Trying to think. So for me, like, I feel like recently I've been learning a lot more like less about like tactics in the past like few weeks or months. I've been learning a lot more about just the overarching premise of everything that I do. Because I think that if you can understand like how to think properly and you understand like how to view markets as a whole, it helps you learn how to market without having to worry about processes. Because like processes and tactics and templates are always going to come and go, and you can always follow what's working now and look at the structure. But if you don't understand why something's working, if you don't understand like the thinking behind certain things, and it becomes really difficult to write, But I also don't want to like go too high level because then it's like why do you guys need more tactical stuff? Because you just got into experienced chat. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll kind of hit on a little bit of both. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna start like a doc. Probably keep me on track more. Can they get rich by osmosis? Yeah, bro, facts. That's why being here, you're gonna automatically become rich. Can anyone hear me? Or is it just Jacob? Oh, okay, cool. Like, yo, I've been talking this whole time. No one heard me, bro. Fucking hell. All right. All right, cool. All right. I feel like this will keep me on track. So let's talk about like dynamics of bitches. Now it might transition into like more stuff. So I was talking to somebody yesterday because this guy, one of my clients is like a BizOp client. So if you guys don't know what BizOp is, basically just business opportunity. Basically, like most make money online things are considered BizOp. So it's just like, hey, I'll teach you how to make money. Basically, that's like business opportunity. And he was asking me to like review. So the guy is like, I had this client that I work for, and he does. The guy that was asking me is like an appointment setter, because like basically the way we run our funnel is like we have like all organic on Instagram. So we do a bunch of posts on Instagram and stories and emails, and we push people to the DMs. And then once they go to the DMs, we have like what's called an appointment setter. So essentially people just like pretend to be the guru and to talk to the guy and qualify them to then push them onto a phone call. But he doesn't really make a ton of money because like, I mean, you're literally just getting paid to message. So essentially he wanted to get into copywriting. I was like, oh, you should join Hustlers University, whatever, like it's really sick. And he sent me this email that he wanted me to review, and like essentially, I guess I could go over his email. Let me find it actually, because it illustrates a point that I think a lot of people aren't thinking about. Do lives. I think this is it. No. Maybe it is it. Yeah, okay, this is his email. So he came in, he actually wrote pretty good for like one of his first emails. So basically has like, these headlines, like things to consider before running ads, how I saved $10,000 by not running ads, whatever. Sorry, my computer runs really slow when I'm doing Zoom. Super annoying. So he's like, why is my store getting a lot of views but no sales? If you're a shark on my program, you're gonna answer. First of all, I was like, yeah, this call to action is way too soon. Like there's not enough emotion or intrigue. So like, why are you doing that so fast? And he kind of goes in like, you see most people have this marketing problem where their stores are converting, different strategies. It's not really, a lot of this isn't relevant, right? Like what he says isn't that relevant. I want to explain something else that matters more. So he just kind of goes into like talking about this. So what I wanted to go into was like, for me, BizOp. So most BizOps are like make money online. So MMO or so make money online / BizOp, business opportunity. So yeah, so most MMO / or we'll just call it, we'll just say BizOp. So most BizOp, you basically, you're not selling. Okay, so most BizOp, like you aren't selling them. So you're not selling them the actual product. So like in his email, he's selling them the product of like why his product is unique. But like most BizOp, what you're really doing, so like what you're really doing is selling them hope. You're selling them a dream. So like people don't care about the unique mechanism of the way that you're doing it, because a lot of these people either one haven't seen enough BizOps before. Like a lot of these people are just like younger audience that haven't been sold these things before. And so like a lot of times what you're doing is you're really just selling them on, like, you're talking about different life lessons that you learned and different things you learned along your journey that then got you to where you are now. And then you kind of push them onto like a sales page where the sales page either does the selling and talks about the unique mechanism, or you're pushing them to a sales or a VSL, and then they go to a sales call. So basically I told him, I was like BizOp is just a completely different niche, right? You got to think about the niche you're writing for. So like the principles that Andrew talks about are more geared towards covering every niche. BizOp is a really weird niche where you don't always necessarily, like, you do tease the product, but your whole email, like I only write like 1 or 2 emails a week that are about the product, or about not about the product, but about the niche, right? Because if I start talking about, like, for example, this thing is drop shipping. If I start talking about drop shipping, it's like, well, a lot of these people don't do drop shipping. So why am I giving them advice about drop shipping? They don't even do it. So like it's not relevant to them. So like that's how most BizOps are, because most BizOps is like teaching you how to go from 0 to 10K a month. So you want to like sell them in a way that pushes this dream lifestyle that's like, hey, we're going to get you out of your shitty situation and get you to somewhere hopeful. Whereas like when you're marketing for, I was like, when you're marketing for like any other niche, like dating or relationships or like fitness or anything, the whole premise is focused around how your product is unique and you're selling them on those unique selling points. So it's completely different. You have to understand like the context of the niche that you're in, and you have to understand that if you're selling for BizOp, it's completely different. And so then that kind of leads me into, so I was going to start out typing on this stuff, but I realized I think way faster than I type, so I'm not going to do that. But so then that kind of leads you into thinking, well, okay, on top of those things, you have to understand the avatar that you're selling to. Like the avatar that you're selling to is really, really important, right? Because like, let's say I'm selling like BizOp to, you know, someone who's like 20 to 28 or something. Typically you're selling them like how Tate sells, like you're selling them on this like dream lifestyle, how your life's gonna be really great and how things are going to be completely transformative and how your life is just going to completely like, is going to completely change. Whereas like if someone's older, it's like completely different the way you talk to them and the way you sell them, right? Because you're selling them, so like on the younger age, you're selling them on the hope. The underlying premise of everything is like hope and like having this bigger and better lifestyle and like living the dream. Whereas like someone who's older, if that's your target audience, you're selling them on the idea of like, I mean, it's kind of twofold. You're selling them on idea of like security and certainty, because it's like, well, the job that you have right now you think is secure, but it's not. You can lose it at any time and then your family could be screwed. So it's like selling them security and certainty. So all of your copy needs to have this underlying premise of like security and certainty below it. And that's why it's very important to understand who your avatar is, because you don't understand, let's say you're writing for like dating or something, and you're selling to a young kid, it's completely different to selling someone who's older, who's probably looking for a relationship and wants to get married, right? I'm selling to a younger kid, they probably want to learn how to like get girls and they just want to bang a bunch of girls. Whereas like someone who's like 28 to 35 is probably learning how to like find a partner, right? So like the way you talk to them is completely different, and the underlying frame with which you talk about any of your copy is filtered through this, right? So it's like it's not necessarily that you call out these specific things. Like I'm not sitting there calling out hope, right? I'm not sitting there calling out security. It's just like the overall feel and the overall arching premises of the way that my copy feels. It feels like I'm selling them hope or security or whatever the avatar is. So it's, you can't just look at the niche as a whole. You have to look at the niche, and then you have to look at the avatar itself. And then that kind of helps you figure out what is like the specific, what is like the specific emotion of that market or your market, plus like the people you're selling to. And you want to sell that within everything you do. So, you know, with like, say it's like weight loss, right? It's like a lot of the stuff that, a lot of the underlying premise behind everything you do is like shame, right? Like you're selling, you're almost like pushing, you're trying to remove shame from them, like, because they feel shameful if they're like fat and overweight and and they, you know, they don't have the status that they want. Whereas like, let's say with dating, like let's say like men's dating, probably like a younger guy, it's like you're selling status and recognition, because they feel like they look at other people and they don't get noticed. So like if everything you're talking about is like how like, that's why like imagine statements are really powerful, because if you understand what your avatar actually wants, you can be like, you know, imagine when you walk into a room and everyone's looking at you, or like imagine, you know, when you roll up with your hot girlfriend to, you know, a networking event and people look at you different. It's like, that's what people want at our age or my age, whatever. Whereas like when I get older, that's not what I want. Like I just want a partner who I love and care and like wants to have a family with. So it's like completely, you have to think about that, because then it's like the imagine statements you use, the dream you're selling, the things you're talking about are completely different. And that's why like that's why I think a lot of people don't understand these premises, these overarching ideas, because then an offer will fail even if you have good copy, because someone doesn't understand these premises, and so they're just going down the complete wrong track. So the copy's good, but because you didn't understand these, like, you know, there's a lot of layers that a lot of people don't understand, and like if you don't understand those, you're gonna have trouble, right? So that's kind of what I like to say. And then it's like, yeah, I'm trying to think like how I can take this. Sorry, it's like I'm trying to start macro and then eventually I'll kind of go into more depth, but so then that kind of leads me into this. So then it's like, okay, now that you understand that part, it's like you have to understand the emotions of the market that you're selling, or sorry, not the emotions, the whether you're so Alan Sultanich talks about this in his group called Nothing Held Back. It's like a Facebook group. Talks about like low emotional state and high emotional state buyers. So most biz, I was talking to Chris about this yesterday, Chris Jones. I was like, most biz op is like low emotional state, right? You're trying to sell them hopes and dreams. And so like what happens is you're hitting them with a lot of like negativity, a lot of like your life's gonna be shit, like fear, anxiety, like all these types of ideas, which is cool. But then what happens is when that person gets into the program, it's basically what happens with Hustlers University. It's like, because you sold them on this thing and you sold them on like how you're going to get them rich and they're going to like change their life. So that's a low emotional state market. So when they come in, they put the burden of proof on, or the burden of performance on you. It's like, oh, well, you know, I paid you this money, so therefore I need you to make me rich. Like they put the burden of performance on you. And so what happens is a lot of people don't realize this, and I think Tate started to realize this. I also don't think that Tate really realized this until recently. It's like when you're selling to a low emotional state market, if you ever want them to upsell, right? Because there's only like I don't know if I can say how many people are in War Room, but there's not as many people in War Room as you think there are. But there being 60,000 students, you would think there would be like a lot. And the reason being is that like most of the people that are low emotional state buyers never become buyers again. Like they don't upsell. And the reason being is that they're in a low emotion state. So they're just looking for a quick fix. They're looking for a magic trick and they're looking to get out. So what you need to do is when you get someone in with low emotional state buying, right? There needs to be an education process. You need to like educate them. You need to transition them from thinking in a low emotional state into thinking in a high emotional state, because that person will then become an upsell later and will become a customer for life. But if you don't have the education process, you don't like slowly shift them, then nothing happens. Now you would say, okay, well, why can't I just sell them high emotional state shit? Well, because they won't resonate with that, right? They resonate with like, my life sucks now. You have to meet them where they're at, right? You meet them where they're at, and then once they're in the program, then you shift their beliefs and change the way they think about life and the way they view things, and you change their mindset and their trajectory. Versus like, you know, if you look at a high emotional state market, right? So maybe like trying to think of some, you know, it depends. It's not just markets. It's like, it depends on like the niche plus the avatar. So it's the two, right? Because there could be biz op that also has high emotional state. It just depends on the avatar, right? So like if it's like someone who's like 35 or some shit, it's completely different. And so essentially what you do is like, you know, let's say it's high emotional state. So like, that's why a lot of you guys will read like a 30-page sales letter and be like, who the fuck reads this? Right? I would never read it, but there are people that read it, right? And that's because you're in a high emotional state. High emotional state people don't want to read an emotional story about like this crazy thing that happened and like drama. Like we don't want that because we don't resonate with that. So like low emotional state copy will turn off high emotional state people. And so people don't think about this, because what happens is like you'll go and write for someone and you'll be like, man, this just isn't working. And it's like, because you're using like really hardcore, like if you try to use the tactics that Tate uses on a high emotional state market, it's rarely ever going to work, because it's like they don't resonate with that shit. Like they don't resonate with like fear, intimidation, like low consciousness, like your life sucks, like let's fix it type of shit. They don't resonate with that. They resonate with like, hey, you've been doing well so far, but like there's this one thing wrong that you're doing. Like there's this, so like high emotional state people want the mechanism, the unique mechanism of what is going to fix your life. Whereas like low emotional state people are super drawn by like intrigue and curiosity. So like the same copy that's very intrigue driven and is very vague, like it doesn't really like tell you a lot, is great for low emotional state people. But for high emotional state people, they never buy that shit, because they're like, when there's vagueness and uncertainty, you don't buy, right? And so like the when you're talking to someone who is like high emotional state, like they need a strong explanation of the unique mechanism. Like you need to explain it with like proof and like step by step on the sales page. Because then if you do that, then they're like, oh, duh, that makes so much sense. It's like, it's kind of like, hey, the reason you haven't been, like, for example, let's say like, hey, the reason you haven't been getting clients, let's say that's my thing. Like, hey, the reason you haven't been getting clients is because of XYZ reasons. And the reason you haven't been doing it is because it's like, I don't know, just make something up. Like, you know, you've been sending cold emails and everyone else is sending cold emails. So you just get boxed in with everybody else. That's why you're not getting clients. And so then it's like, if I can then talk about, well, I have this unique mechanism where actually what I do is I send, you know, I have some like unique script that I send that's automated, but separates me from everyone else. And I explain it step by step, like how it's done. But I don't really tell you like exactly how to do it. I just show you the what. Well, then you're way more likely to buy, because it's like, well, I showed it to you step by step by step. And that's how I get sold. And so like, so you got to be careful and like understand like what your market is, because if you have too much vagueness and too much intrigue, that works for a low emotional state buyer, but it's not going to work for high emotional. And so well, it can, but it usually doesn't. And And yeah, so that education process is really important. And I think Tate realized that. That's why like Arno has been posting those videos about like how to go through HU, how to ask the right questions, how like that. They started posting that because I think they realized that, oh shit, we're getting a lot of these fucking idiots that don't want to do anything. And they put the burden of performance on you. So yeah, that's just like a high level overview. I can't go into like specifics because I learned a lot of this in the mastermind somewhere, so I'm not really like supposed to share like specifics. I can only just share like surface level shit that it's like shared publicly. But it's just something to think about. It's just like something to like really like think about as you write. You know, like what is the emotional state of the market? What's the underlying emotion that drives the market or drives that niche plus avatar? And then also, are they low emotional state, high emotional state? And the way you know is just looking at like, all your competition and looking at like the angles they're hitting, as well as like just seeing what angles drive people. Are they more driven by like you talking about how the program works and like the unique part of it, as well as like pushing them towards positivity, like, hey, your life could be better. Imagine your life like this, imagine your life like this. Or do they resonate way better with like negative shit? Like, hey, your life, imagine how your life's gonna fucking suck if you don't fix this program. It's like, how does the list respond? That's like one way you find out. And a lot of people don't teach this shit. That's kind of why like some people will like go into a market and kill it, and then like another market will just flop, and you don't understand why. It's like because you don't understand the emotions behind what's happening.
Chief, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Austin posted it in the chat as well. So, what's the difference between low and high emotional state people, and also like, does it matter how and how much pain they are? Like, does it affect in which category they're gonna be in?
So it's more nuanced. Whoever asked that. And then you were asking what?
Like, does it matter? Like, let's say like my target audience is and they have high pain right now. Let's say like they're athletes, they're injured, they don't want to be injured anymore, they want to be back on the playing field. Are they like high emotional state or are they low emotional state?
So they're athletes and they want to be.
They're injured, they broke the leg, they tore their ACL, they can't play right now. So yeah, they want to be back on the field again, they want to be back in their sports again.
What's the age group?
Age group from 18, like 16 to 28.
I feel like it's probably a high emotional state, right? Because it's like, so when you think of like low emotional state, like I'm not the best at this yet, so I'm still learning, but the best way to understand it is like it helps you understand why a lot of these like health offers and like supplement offers do really well, where they like push really hard on like these crazy emotional stories where you're just like, this sounds fucking retarded. Like, how does people buy this shit? Like when you read it and you're just like it's selling like fucking magic pills and like a fucking like a weight loss tea or like a fucking pregnancy tea or some shit. Like, how the fuck is this tea gonna like make me be able to have like restore my reproductive systems? Like there's no science. It just makes no sense. So like that's what I mean by like emotional states. Like they're willing to just like forego all belief just because they're so desperate to get out of their situation. And so the reason that they never upsell is because it's like as soon as they get out of that situation or your thing doesn't like help them at all, you know, they're gone and they're never coming back, right? And so it's like high emotional state market is like, well, yours is different because like it's an injury thing. So once they know their injury, they're kind of gone. But personally, I feel like those people would resonate more with like a mechanistic driven marketing where like, hey, this is completely different from the shit that's out there. Like most people are teaching this and this. Like, so I've talked a lot about the mechanism and like how it's unique and how like, yeah. So like that's something I do in so you can have low and high in the same market. So like, for example, like the financial niche, right? You have low and high, right? That's what agora is. Agora is like low emotional state. It's like, oh shit, your life's going to hell. You need to fix this situation now. So it's more like how desperate they are a lot of times. Like how desperate are they for a solution? But then like that's why that's why a lot of times it's about like cranking the emotions, because you crank them so hard because the person's already desperate, but then they never upsell later, because once the emotions are gone and once the person's no longer feeling those things anymore, they're bounced because they're like, well, they're on to the next thing, because you didn't actually sell them something that was real. You just kind of you just crank their emotions. And so like, I'm not saying this stuff doesn't work, like it can work. It's just like changing the way you view things, of like, sure, you hit them with that, but then when they come in, you kind of like um you educate them. You have the education process. But then also too, like yeah, I don't know. Perhaps this is like too high level for experience. I don't know.
Yusuf, are you talking about like BJJ? Because I see you're wearing a BJJ shirt.
No, no, no. But actually, like Chief was making a good point. Like my background is in sports psychology, and every time I would work with athletes, as soon as I would like give them a little bit, like I would get them in with emotions that they would have this pain, they would come in, become my client, and then as soon as I would fix the problem a little bit, just a little bit, they would run off. They wouldn't put in the rest of the work in. So it makes like total sense to talk about the mechanism, sell on the mechanism instead of just emotion, because once you just do the emotion, like these guys are going, they're flying, they're gone.
Yeah, it's more like long-term marketing. It's like the stuff I'm talking about is like completely different. Like it's not, it's just going down a different route, you know. It's like yeah, it's like yeah, perhaps this is too much for experience call, because it's like it's not something you really need to worry about until you have like a client or two. And I think it's easy. I think it's easier to just come in and crank the low emotional state shit. But then as you start working with the client, you want to start introducing these ideas to them of like, hey, like we're getting a lot of clients, but they don't actually fucking upsell. They don't become this. They don't do this, because it's like you're pitching them on like bullshit. Um, yeah. So it's like,
Can I say something? I think maybe a way to phrase it would be, but you tell me if I'm wrong here, but like a low emotional state is very like primal. It's like what
exactly.
Tate is going after, that raw fear, the feeling that you have to act right now. You have to do something, otherwise you're going to get caught in the gears of the machine. So you have to do something right now. You have to sort of like what Agora goes for, the kind of like the curiosity, the low hanging fruit to try to get people in. Whereas a high emotional state, you have to build out maybe a more refined relationship with the avatar to sort of get them to convert into sales. So that's a little bit harder to do, because you have to spend more time building a relationship with them. I don't know. Is that kind of what you're going for here?
Yeah. You guys just keep keep engaging like this, because it sparks new ideas for me. It's hard for me to just fucking think about it linearly, but as you guys keep engaging like this, it reminds me of like more shit. So like it's funny, because when I first knew about Tate for like months, I never joined his shit, because it was like he was pitching to low emotional shit. But like the only reason I eventually bought was simply because he started saying like, he started talking like oh, we have a bunch of millionaires who like, or people from War Room who teach each of these topics. So it's like you're learning from people who have never done it, whereas like we actually have people who've done this thing. And the mechanism is what sold me. It wasn't the other shit. The other shit didn't matter to me. It didn't resonate with me. And so like that's what eventually sold me. And so it's like he was just saying, like it's more about a nurturing process, where like once you get the person in, it's more of like a nurturing thing. And so like what happens is like it's more this. It's more like high emotional state selling is more dripping seeds of doubt. You drip seeds of doubt in their mind. So like you talk about things and make them start doubting what they're doing. Like maybe the way I'm doing things isn't working and maybe this is wrong. And you start like, it's what I talked about the last week about, or 2 weeks ago about the belief shifting posts. You start to shift their beliefs about the way they view the world and the way they do things. And they start to question whether that's right or not. And then what happens is like throughout the days and the weeks that thought like eventually becomes their own thought and it starts to like split in their mind and they start to like split them where they're like they can't stop thinking about it and they're like shit, like I have to know, like maybe that is right, and then they eventually join. That's how like a high emotional state person buys versus like a low emotional state person. They jump on a fucking sales page and they buy instantly. Like I've never gone on a fucking VSL or sales page and bought instantly. I'm like, oh, let me go research this person, let me think about what they're talking about and come back later. So it's like the way they buy is completely different. And so it's more centered around once you get results right through that program, that person then goes and tells a bunch of people. So it's like it's more driven on like referrals, and like you obviously still have like your normal sales coming in, but like you get a fuckload more sales from people that just like naturally start talking about the program and like telling everybody about it because like this is crazy. See, it's more like dripping seeds of doubt in their mind. Like, see, that's kind of what Andrew Tate did, right? So the thing is like Andrew, the person that writes for Andrew isn't a copywriter, so it's like he doesn't really like think about these principles on a deep level. So he just naturally ebb and flowed between low and high. Like he would talk about stuff that would attract low state, and then he also talked about shit that would attract high state, which I think is probably smart because it's such a big audience, it's so broad. So like when he talked about shit that resonated with high state, he would drip seeds of doubt in your mind, and then that sticks with you, and you're like, fuck, I can't stop thinking about it, and you join the thing because you're like, maybe he's right.
So would you say that this concept, like thinking about the concept of the value ladder, like Russell Brunson's value ladder, or it starts off with low ticket products, maybe people who are like in a low emotional state, like people who are struggling with their business. Like if you've ever seen on YouTube, I get ClickFunnels ads all the time, and it always starts out like a woman who's stressed out. Like my friends are going to think I'm stupid if I don't succeed with this business. It's like low emotional state. Then they buy into the low ticket products, like the books, the free books. And then I guess as ClickFunnels helps them get more success, it takes them to more of a high emotional state as they upsell. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah. So like low emotional state people like almost never upsell. So it's like there's an education process that comes with that, right? And so it's like most people don't understand this. They just do it. Like they just do it because they learn from someone else, but they're not like thinking about it. Everyone's just copying each other. Like no one's understands this shit. No one's like doing this. They're not like strategically understanding what's happening. They're just doing it because they copy other people. They don't understand like why it's working. So like I'm never like the way that this was like this idea was discovered was like this marketer went into a room with like a bunch of marketers. He's like at a mastermind, and then like he was on stage and he's like all of you guys write VSLs, and then they're like yeah, and he's like how many of you fucking watch these VSLs, like the 40-minute VSLs? I'm like no one raised their hand. He's like why the fuck is that? Like why did all you write these motherfuckers but never watch them? Right? He's like how many of you read that 40-page sales page to come to this event? Like to come to the event that they were at, and everyone's like no one raised their hand. No one read the whole sales page. They just like skimmed it really fast and then bought. And it's like he was like why is that? It's like because you have different emotional states. There's different things that are happening. And so like the reason this is becoming extremely important is that's why Agora is dying, because the whole low emotional state shit doesn't fucking work as much anymore because people are becoming more sophisticated, and like the FTC is coming after them, and you have all these problems where like if you're showing a bunch of shit and people don't get results. That's why like a lot of these like health companies and supplement companies are like fucking dying off, because like it doesn't work as well. Like the reason why is also because like the cost of advertising and getting traffic is going up. So while it worked in the beginning, it doesn't work anymore. It's not working as well anymore because the cost of ads are going up. Like the targeting is not as good. The iOS update fucked a lot of shit with like tracking. So like a lot of these big guys that like were like legendary like people, like you don't hear about them that much anymore because they're not fucking good anymore. Because they were just selling low emotional state shit because they got traffic for so cheap. But now like people do more research and people learn more shit, and also like advertising going up. So it's very, very, very important to actually upsell people. And so like through the process of like getting people into the funnel and like through low ticket, then you educate them and then they become high emotional state. Like that's where you get a lot of money from. Because then you can basically like break even on the front end by running traffic to these low ticket and then push them up. That's why like high ticket's really hard, because it's like, and I've seen this in my business with the business I work with the e-com guy. It's like everything's pushing these people to fucking jump on the phone and to just like impulse buy, like to like fix their life now. But a lot of those people never take action. And then like if they have a payment plan, they fucking never pay the second payment. Like they're always gone. And it's like, because you're selling them on this like fucking dream of like you're selling the low emotional state. So it's like it becomes really fucking difficult later to actually upsell them. You know, and the success rate is really fucking low.
So how does this tie into? Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Okay. Just real quick, like how would you, Chief, how would you implement this? Like if you're emailing a list every single day,
I knew you were gonna ask that. That's why I said I'm only talking high level right now.
Okay. You don't want to get
because like tactics are always gonna change, bro. So that's why I was saying like, at the beginning of the call is like I'm only gonna talk about high level shit, because like if you understand this on a high level, you're not gonna understand it right now. You're not gonna be able to implement it. It's just something that you're gonna think about randomly. It's gonna like go into your brain, and then later it's just gonna flow through you. It's hard to, there's no like tactics around it, you know.
I understand. Yeah, and different niches are gonna behave differently anyway. But okay.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you might not implement this in your emails now. Like I said, I'm realizing now, if I'm telling you guys, like I probably shouldn't talk about this on an experience call, because like there's some people who need to hear it, but there's other people who don't. Because like if you just got your first client or second client, it doesn't really make sense for you. But if you've been working with people, this is where you need to start doing this, because this is what's going to take you to the next level. Because then you can start doing deals with these clients where you do like rev share, and you're like, cool, let's fucking crank everything, and you fix their whole offer structure. Yeah, we'll talk about something else, because I feel like this is gonna be too much for people. It's even a lot for me. Like I'm only learning it recently, so it's hard to like implement actually. We could just talk about like actual tactical stuff.
Real quick, who did you learn this from?
What do you say?
Who did you learn this from?
Alan Sultanich. It's a Facebook group called Nothing Held Back. Nothing Held Back.
So how does this concept tie into like, I know you don't want to talk about this anymore, but it's like a real quick, like selling them.
Yeah, we can go more. I think I'm just gonna cut this part of the record. I won't put this recording out. I'm gonna like re-record, and we'll just talk about tactical shit. Because I can tell talking to you guys is gonna confuse a lot of you guys. Because like it's hard to, you don't really need to implement this in your writing. It's just gonna fuck you up. It's something you just think about later as you start trying to like, because like if I'm just writing emails for a client, bro, like I mean, of course I'm gonna think about this stuff, but like I'm not gonna like, because it involves you like changing a lot of the shit about their business and the way they hold, the whole way they do shit, the way they like their offers, the way they like, it's just a lot of shit you have to change. So it's more of like a deal, like where you end up being like a partner or some shit. So like it doesn't make sense when you're like emailing people, because it's just going to confuse motherfuckers. Which I didn't really think about until I started. I mean, it is helpful on a high level. Like you understand this on a high level, because then when you're writing, you might be like, damn, why is nothing landing? Then you can think about like, maybe I'm just fucking hitting the wrong angle. So it is helpful on that perspective, but like trying to go too deep is just going to end up confusing a lot of people. But on a high level, if your shit's not landing, it's probably because you're targeting the wrong emotional state. And that's why I was talking about earlier about the whole, this is what, going back full circle, is like I was telling him, I was like, bro, BizOp is like BizOp is so different to like dating or like other offers, because it's like I was like BizOp's easy mode, bro. Like BizOp's cheating. Like because like you they understand that like if they buy your product, they're thinking in their mind that like they're gonna make money back. So like in their mind, they're willing to like forego more money because they're like, well, they're like justifying in their mind they're gonna make more back. So like it's like easy mode. So the problem is what happens is you find a lot of these like BizOp type of like gurus, and Dan Kennedy's one of them. There's a lot of spawns of Dan Kennedy, of like there's a lot of iterations of people that follow Dan Kennedy. But the problem is that shit doesn't work in other niches. You're going to apply that to other niches and it doesn't fucking work. And it's like, well, because a lot of these like gurus that you listen to fucking suck. They're only good in the one niche because they're selling low emotional state people and like, hey, make money now, make money. You like it lets the logic go out the door, because in their mind they're like, oh, I'm gonna make money anyways. So like they forego the logic. Whereas like if you try and do this in like dating or weight loss, it doesn't fucking work. So like that's why I think BizOp is really fucking good when you're starting out, because you can make a lot of money, and then later you can go into other niches. But understand it's gonna be a lot harder because you're pitching completely different people. They're likely a different emotional state, and also you have to get them to justify the purchase. You have to relate how this purchase is going to be beneficial to their life and worth the money they're paying. So it's like it's one of those things where yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. I should have just kept it high level. I shouldn't have gone too deep into the language stuff, but
No, I'm glad.
from
I'm
a high
glad you brought
level,
this up.
the high level, what I wanted to get at was mostly the whole thing about like people don't justify the purchase when it's like a different niche. And so like you'll go into a different niche and completely flop because you're taking principles that someone's teaching from another niche, and you're like, oh, this person makes a lot of money, they're really good. Like, no, they actually fucking suck. Like they're good in that one niche, but like it's cheap. It's like cheat mode, bro. You're just like hitting them with a shitload of intrigue and making them like fear that their life is gonna suck if they don't fix it right now. And then they're like, oh shit, and then they jump on it and they do it. But then like, you know, and so like when you go and try to, that's why the stuff that Andrew teaches is really fucking good, because stuff Andrew teaches works in like multiple niches, like the PAS and the DIC and all that other stuff. Like, but a lot of people don't teach that. A lot of people just teach like the shit I write for BizOp is fucking retarded, dude. It's like, I mean, literally the stuff you write for BizOp is just, it's just this type of shit. Like, that's why those people who like think they know what they're talking about, I'm like, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not like it just, they fucking blow. It's like these type of dudes, or like Bashar. Yeah, so like 99% of people overlook this one habit. It's like one of the, okay, sorry, this is not a good one. Let's see, where's this thing at? It's been doing short posts. Let me find its older posts. Yeah, so you can, I mean, you literally just do like basic shit like this. Like you just hit them with like tons of social proof and tons of like testimonials and like, oh yeah, at 20, I was dead broke. And now at 22, I made 50K a month to 500K a month. Like, it's just like, just such basic stuff. Like I scale my business from this. The reason I hired a coach, really, is that the fucking reason, bro? You hired a coach, systematize my business, it's just like such like surface level ideas, but those land with people because it's like, it's BizOp. They can forego the justification. They don't care. Whereas like in other niches, you need to have more uniqueness to it. It has to be specific. That's why like a lot of times when we look at your copy, we're like, yo, it's too vague. You need to be like specific. Like, what's the unique thing about it? Why is it unique? What's special about it? And that's more important in other niches. Whereas like these niches, you just write so basic and surface level. It's like I hired a coach and I systematize my business. See, there's no novelty in doing things by yourself. Like business is hard. all you gotta do is have the right knowledge. They're too afraid to ask for help. Like, just ask for help. Like, do you want to learn how to make a 6 figures business? Like, just DM me. Like, that shit fucking works. This dude makes like 500K a month, 400 or 500K a month. It's fucking retarded. And it's like, because like people just like imagine like the money, they just forego the logic. They don't think about like the logic behind it. But this dude, his program fucking blows. Like, his success rate is like extremely low. Obviously now, obviously, like, some people don't do the work because they're fucking retarded. But like, also, again, it's, you take this stuff and try to apply it to another niche and it just bombs. So that was the point I was trying to get across, is like, you got to understand the language of the market, and then understanding like if you're in a biz op, it's completely different from when you're in other stuff. Like, you can see his thing was about just like surface level, like life advice, like hire a coach to get a business, like, you're gonna make money, get a coach type of shit. Like, you're not selling the uniqueness. Whereas like with use of stuff, it's like you're selling the uniqueness of the product, the uniqueness of like what's special about it. Why does it work comparative to other shit you tried before? It's like, oh, that's why, like, there's so many different diets, dude. Like, there's always a fucking other diet. It's like, because for some reason it's like, hey, everything else you tried before didn't work, but there's this unique thing now. Like, there's some special like, hey, everything you did, like, you were on the right path, but you were missing this one thing. Like, this is now why it works. Oh, you didn't have keto. Like, oh, you didn't have like intermittent fasting. And so that idea sells until like that idea sells out and everyone's heard it. And then eventually you go to the next idea, and it's like, because there's always a unique thing. And so like, you gotta think about the niche you're in is like, biz ops completely different versus like other ones. You want to hit on the unique mechanism. You can't just hit surface level advice. It doesn't work. You got to hit on the unique mechanism. And then depending on what you think your market is, if your market's more sophisticated or like higher emotion, then you drip ideas of like, your life could be better. Imagine this, imagine what your life would be like. You're having trouble because you're missing this one thing, versus like low emotional state, like you're dripping more fear in there. Like, you're dripping like fear of their life sucking, like you're selling them hope, you're trying to help them remove shame, like, you know, you're shameful. So it's more like with high emotional state, you're selling them the bridge from, hey, here's where you are, and your product is the bridge that takes them to where they want to be. Whereas low emotional state, it's like, here you are, and your product, and there's a wall between where they want to be, and your product breaks down the wall. Like, there's a wreck, your ball is like a wrecking, your product is like a wrecking ball that breaks down the wall between where they are and where they want to go. So high emotional state, you're selling them the bridge, whereas like low emotional state, you're helping remove something, remove a wall. So remove shame, remove your shit mindset, remove you know, things that are causing you to be a weirdo when you go and talk to girls. Like, what a lot of it's like removing fear, removing shame, removing whatever, versus like high emotional state, you're selling them the bridge to get to where they want to get to. Yeah.
Now, I just want to cut in real quick. I mean, I know you said you didn't really like this part of the call. Personally, it's helped me out a ton, because my client
for
right now,
you, but that's because where you're at. So that's why I think Andrew needs to make, sorry, I'll let you go back, but Andrew needs to make that advanced chat, because I want this is the shit I want to talk about in advanced chat, but it's not good for certain people because it's going to confuse them. Like, you've been writing for a while, so it's really helpful for you because you're like, oh shit, now I understand why I've been fucking up. It's like, like, again, literally the thing I'm teaching is like working on you. I'm selling you the unique mechanism. Like, I'm telling you why you haven't had success from one area, and you're like, fuck. And it's like, it sells you because I'm dripping seeds of doubt. I'm dripping seeds of doubt in your mind. So like, now later you're going to think about it like, fuck, like Chief is right. Like, fuck. But like, someone who isn't at that level yet, it's not going to resonate with them, because like they'll understand it conceptually, but it's just going to confuse them, versus like you, I'm selling you on the high emotional state of like, hey, like, I'm dripping seeds of doubt in your mind, right? So, sorry, go ahead. I just had to bring that in there.
well, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because my client, he's doing like a high ticket coaching program, and like you said, he's doing those like calls, you know, those calls to like change their life and stuff like that. So, what you said about doing like a low ticket item first, that really hit hard, So, I mean, personally, I found this part of the call really helpful. I prefer you keep it in. I can't speak for the rest of the guys, but I prefer you keep it in, or
I think
if
what I'll
you
do is I'll make 2 separate clips, and like depending on someone's level, I'm only gonna send them one. So like we're gonna go into tactics in a minute. So I think I'll only send it to people that are at a certain level, and then like the higher level shit, I'll only send it to like you and other people. Cause yeah, I don't want it's just gonna confuse people. And also I don't know if Andrew wants me to talk about this shit because it might again, because like as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, Andrew might not want me to talk about this shit because it might just confuse people. Because I know he wants people to not be confused. Because like this stuff is not going to get you to 10K a month. Like, I mean, it will, but like the stuff that Andrew's teaching will get you to 10K a month. This higher level shit is what's going to get you to like 100K a month. So in terms of like,
that works for
okay,
me,
so in
man.
terms of like your stuff, right? Is it hard to get people on the high ticket or what? Like you're pushing to a sales call, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'm mainly sending out on like an email list and stuff like that. I mean, personally, I'm focusing on building the relationship and building a connection with the reader, and then I mean, the sales call, it's kind of like an afterthought because I don't really have much control over the sales process itself. Like he's got a whole other team for doing the calls. So I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, do you mind sharing the niche? Like, what's the niche?
yeah,
The avatar.
he's pretty big in self-improvement. And I'm sure you probably know who he is, but
Yeah, what's the avatar?
so the avatar, it's like a young guy who, he's made money, but he's, maybe he's like a programmer or he's like electrician or something like that. Like he's got a pretty good job where he's making like 100K, maybe a little bit more.
Gotcha.
But he's
Yeah, so that might be
still a simp. He's still he's still in the rat race, that kind of thing. So he's still wasting his time. He's not free.
yeah, no, I got you. It's weird because I think a lot of those people might be high emotional state because like they're smart people. They just aren't good in the one area of their life. So it's like I feel like they're almost like high emotional state. So you're kind of like you're showing them how what they're doing is like wrong. I feel like I'm not 100% certain, but I feel like that angle would probably work better if you just keep telling them unique mechanism and like why. Like for example, you just keep telling them like, hey, just focusing on business and life is like dumb. Like this, like you keep telling them like why they need to like do other shit or like get girls or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know because the low ticket might work, but also might not. Like it you might not even need it because of your niches or because of your avatar, but it's worth testing. Like when I say low ticket, I mean like really low ticket, like $30 some shit, $49 something like super cheap. Because like here's the problem is like when you're high emotional state, you have these like shreds of doubt where there's just that little bit where you're still uncertain and you're like like I don't know, there's just this unknown, and like we don't like unknown because unknown is dark, like darkness. So like when you're a little kid, like you're scared of shit under the bed because it's dark, it's unknown, it's darkness, you don't like it. So like when you leave these, that's why I'm saying like the whole explaining the unique mechanism and going into it step by step and showing like proof of like how it works sells way more to high emotional state because it's like we don't like unknown, we don't like the uncertain, we it's like I don't know. Whereas like a low emotional state, you like that unknown because you're curious about it, like you're driven by like, oh, I just want to know what that thing is, but like you're never gonna, like a lot of times you don't even use it, you just want to fill the you want to close the loop, but you don't actually want to use the product. Whereas like with high emotional state, it's like we don't like unknowns because it's like it's darkness, and so it's like it's a lot better to so the point of the low ticket is what you do is you give them this low ticket, but most people do this, they get the low ticket and it's like fucking shit. You're just like, oh, it's a fucking like, why did I pay $40, $99 for this fucking like they're just the whole point of the low ticket is to upsell you, like for most people. Whereas you do the reverse and you give them a low ticket that's worth like $1,000. That's why like Hustlers University is so good, because it's like you pay $49 and you get in, you're like, what the like, how is this 49? Like you just shatter all beliefs. So people that come in that are high emotional state, they eventually upsell a war room like that. Like they upsell so fast because they're like, oh shit, like, well, that must be even better. So it's like if you come in with the low ticket and you also have upsells too. So you have like the low ticket plus like an upsell 1, upsell 2. So you figure out like what the upsells will be for that. Like you don't upsell the coaching package, but you upsell like other things, like some other products or whatever. And then basically what you do is you just push that, and then what you do is you make a group, like a paid group for that thing. So like you make a Facebook group or like a Discord or whatever for those group of people who bought the low ticket, and you nurture them. It's like a sales cycle. So like anyone who gets into nothing held back, bro, after a week you'll realize why that shit works. Because all he does is he just drops like fucking insane knowledge bombs. Like everything I'm talking about right now is like the shit he drops in there. Like he'll drop these posts and you'll be like you'll just shatter your fucking mind. And so like what you do is you get people in this low ticket, and once they're in the low ticket, you have this group and you just drop so much value. Like you just every day you drop it, or not every day, but a few times a week you drop like a crazy post where you just give insane value. The guru needs to be in there like answering people a little bit as well, and it just shows expertise, and it removes all doubt in their mind. They're like, oh, this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about, and they understand his unique mechanism. And then the person upsells like super easy, like just like that. Like there's not a lot. That's basically what happened at Hustlers University, right? Like all the professors over deliver, and you're like, holy shit, the unique mechanism makes so much sense in your mind. So then you just upsell. You don't even need, bro, no one even got me on a sales call. I just paid 5K, 5.5K, whatever, 6K, however fucking much. If you think about it, you're like, oh wait, I never jumped on a sales call. I just fucking send them the fucking money and join. That's high emotional state selling. So like the education process of like, you're going to weed out eventually, like there's going to be a lot of low emotional state people in there, but they're just going to weed themselves out. But the people that are high emotional state that are going to, you drop videos, you drop a lot of value in there that over time starts to weed people, and then it becomes even better when you talk about like contrarian shit, or like shit that like, well, like everyone's telling you to do cold approach, and it's like, but actually you should do social circle, and you explain why, and you show proof of why it works, and you break it down in their mind, like you hack it away, like in the group. Over time, it's like, I mean, dude, this is why YouTube creators do so well, and like Instagram people do so well, because all it is explaining the mechanism across time, right? So like a sales page back in the day would have like the unique mechanism, right? And you had to like understand it in that moment, or you didn't buy and you never saw them again. Versus like, look at Hermosi, right? Hermosi does so well because over time he's drilling you with this unique mechanism. He's explaining his unique way of viewing life. And so over time you get drilled with that. It's like a sales process. Like you're getting drilled. So by the time you hit the sales page, you already buy. You don't need a lot, because like the sales process is occurring on Instagram. Same thing with YouTube. The sales process is occurring on YouTube. So like that's why it's really hard. That's why Andrew tells us to sell these people, because they're so much easier to get money out of their clients, because they've already been sold. They already explained the unique mechanism. It's already been talked about over and over and over and over again. Versus like trying to run cold traffic, it's really hard, because you have to like push them from an ad to a sales page. You have to explain everything in one go. And obviously you can retarget them and hit them again and put them on an email list, whatever. But the whole process is like opening someone's mind to understand the sales process, or sorry, understand a unique mechanism. And that's why like YouTube creators do so well, or they do on the surface. Or that's why like once they have proper marketing, it just fucking skyrockets, because they've already been doing all the explaining. So if you do that in a group, a curated group where they already paid, right? You got money from them. It's like a discovery project. You got money from them. So they trust you. They know they can trust you. Exchange money. Shit happens when you exchange money. And then once you put them in the group, you just give insane value. So it's like basically like, instead of having a sales page or like a salesman who's like on the phone breaking down objections, you break down objections over weeks. and you drip seeds of doubt in their mind. And then eventually, by the time the few weeks are done, they sell themselves. It's like they get on the call or they go to the page and they just buy. Like they don't need anything because you sold them over time. And that's the difference versus like when you go and write for a health offer, a supplement offer, or like any of those other offers, a lot of it's just trying to like get as much money as possible. And like it's so funny because like Alan was talking about this on a call. He was like, some guy was trying to argue with him, like some supplement offer guy was like, no, we don't just sell them the dream. Like our customers come back. And he's like, no, they don't come back. Why are you trying to sell them 30? Like, why are you trying to sell them like fucking eight bottles of it on the front end, right? Like their whole premise is like, a lot of you guys don't know this, but the whole premise of a lot of supplement offers are like, they push you to buy like a huge amount up front. So like they don't try and sell you one bottle. They're like, oh, there's this value deal where you get like 10 bottles. Like and then like as soon as you hit the upsell, it's like you're trying to fucking sell them 32 bottles. And then the fucking upsell after that is like you're trying to sell them like more. Because they're not going to come back. Like they're gone. they're out because you're selling them, you're harping on their pain. And the problem is people don't want to sit in pain. So what happens is like, this is what happened with Agora. Like they would sell you on pain and sell you on getting out of this shit situation, but people don't stay in that situation. They get out eventually. So once they're out, they never come back. Versus like, if you hit someone when they're in pain and you actually help them, you over deliver. Then when they convert to an actual like person who's no longer in pain, or the pain isn't as amplified, then they stay and then they upsell later. And that's like the whole premise of what he like teaches. You can like, bro, you can study all of his shit. He literally does this, and you could take his whole product. Like his product is $27. Like literally you pay $27 and everything I just told you is in this fucking book. Because what I just told you, his whole thing is this, like he sells everything in the fucking front end, and then he just pitches you on the upsell for implementation. It's like you do it yourself for $27, or we do it with you, or we do it for you. It's like upsell. Like you do it yourself, we do it with you, or do it for you. That's the whole upsell path. So like everything I just talked about is like almost all in this book. So you could like fucking buy the book and just like read the book and learn everything I'm talking about right now. And you could do it all by yourself. You don't need to buy his shit. So yeah. So like buy that book and read that shit because it's fucking good. Or I could just give it to you, but it's like $27 or whatever. But
whatever, 27, whatever.
Huh?
$27, like it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it
real.
works, right? Because you're just like, oh, it's $27. And then you get like crazy value, right? But yeah,
dude,
so
that was super helpful. Like, thank you a lot. Like, that was fucking amazing.
bro, when I first heard that, I was just like, my mind was like shattering, dude. I was just like, everything I thought I knew, I was like, fuck, man. I was like, shit, dude. It worked because he dripped seeds of doubt in my mind. And I'm just like, fuck, man. Like fucking days are going. I'm just like, fuck, like, god damn it. This is so good. I'm just like, god damn it. Like,
we should have done this sooner. Should have done that. Fuck. God damn it.
Yeah, it just makes you understand why shit works and doesn't work. And you just, yeah. If you get into that group as well as read this book, man, you'll be like, holy fuck. Like most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like they don't understand shit. They really don't. They're just, everyone's just, the whole premise of the marketing world is just copy everyone else. Like see what's working, copy that shit. See a funnel that's working, funnel hack. Like no one knows what the fuck's working, why shit's priced the way it is. No one understands the psychology of anything. They're all just copying each other. Like no one's actually innovating shit, you know, except for like these underground beasts that like no one knows about. Yeah, bro, Earl, that shit would work really well for you because you have a lot of Justin's buyers are like high emotional state. Well, they start out low emotional state, but like, yeah, that shit will work really well for Justin's stuff because I know he wants to teach people like high emotional state stuff because that's how he is. But there has to be an education process that comes with that or whatever. But this is the type of stuff, man, you bring to a client, bro, and they just like, you start out doing emails, you just do whatever. Then you start dripping in their mind, like, bro, this is the way to go. Like, and this explains why, like, look, like, there's this idea that so there's this idea that like so when this first came out, like a lot of you guys don't know this stuff, but like back in the day, people used to run webinars, right? And webinars were like a huge thing, and people made a lot of money from webinars. And there was this guy named Sam Ovens and Russ Ruffino. They're both like two really big webinar guys. And when webinar first came out, they had to do the webinars were like 2 hours because they had to educate they were like the people that introduced like consulting. Like they weren't the first people, but like that's where like the world of consulting like kind of grew, like at least like high ticket consulting, etc. Because like people were not doing it very often. But now like it started to grow, but for that to work, they had to have a 2-hour education process for people to understand why high ticket consulting was a thing. So these webinars would be 2 hours. But then after they did those things for a year, you no longer have to make your shit 2 hours because the market's educated. They already understand this idea of high ticket selling. So you can just come in and have like a 10-minute VSL that just pops because it's like people already understand it. So you can understand like how aware is the market. The market's already aware. You don't have to do a whole ton of like explaining of the mechanism. It can be very simple and very, very like you can gloss over it really fast. Yeah. And that's kind of like why. So the reason, this is a completely sidetracked topic, but like the reason why you keep seeing new things coming, right? Like back in the day, it was like you would sell in a newspaper, and then eventually you sold via like a letter coming to your house, right? You would get like a mail, right? You would get mail, and then eventually that became like I don't know the full process, but eventually that became like a text sales letter on the internet, and then it became a webinar, and then it became a VSL, and then it became like a podcast VSL, and now you have like all these new one documentary VSL. There's all these new like VSLs. All that really is doing is just trying to hide the sales process. So when people become aware of like what's happening, they know they're being sold. And when you know you're being sold, you're way more resistant. So if you don't know you're being sold, that's why webinars work so well, because you're like, oh, it's a 2-hour training. They're gonna like teach me a bunch of shit. Like I'm gonna learn a bunch of shit. This is so cool. And like when you're in content consuming mode, you don't have objections. So you don't realize you're being sold. And when you don't realize you're being sold, it's so much easier for them to like hit your unconscious and hit like deep. So but then by the time the pitch comes, you fucking buy, right? And this is why I was saying YouTuber, this is why I say like every time you can hide the sales process, every time you hide the sales process and people believe that it's content, right? They believe it's content. That's why like the VSL worked for a long time, because people are like, oh shit, it's a 40-minute VSL and learn a bunch of shit. In reality, the whole thing's a pitch. But then when people become aware of it, it doesn't work anymore. So then that's why you see smart marketers innovate it. They do a new thing. That's why like selling on Instagram is so good, right? Because it's like what I just said earlier, right? Like you don't think you're being sold, but slowly you're watching reels and you're watching Tate speeches, and over time you're being sold. You don't realize the whole thing is a sales process, but you don't notice until eventually that doesn't work anymore. And there's gonna be something new, right? That's why like these sales processes, you don't know they're happening, and those are the best ones. That's why like marketers are constantly innovating and doing new things, because they're trying to hide the sales process. But yeah, bro, if I tried to sell something at the end of this, it'd work so well because you guys thought it was a fucking training. I mean, it is a training, but like if I tried to sell something, it would fucking hit so hard, because I dropped all these seeds in your mind, and then I'd be like, cool, the way you're marketing now doesn't work, bro. You want my program? Like it would work so well because you think it's content. Yeah, I already sold the book. Yeah. Nah, bro, the book's fucking amazing. I actually think Alan's team is doing something with Tate. I don't know for sure, but I think he is.
How would this apply to email copywriting? Like, cause obviously I think people know they're being sold through email. So
Well, that's kind of
Is
why
there a
email
way-
worked, right? For a long time. Like it worked when you could just do straight pitches, and now you don't. That's why like Ben Settle's stuff works so well, because you're entertaining them. Right. And that's why like giving value in your emails is good, because you like hide the fact that you're selling them. Like they know they're being sold, but as long as it's not like super obvious, it's fine. And like the stuff still works, right? Like you can still do webinars, you can still do whatever. It's just the conversion rate goes down. Like it doesn't work as well as
Yeah.
it used to. Right. So like you still do the stuff, you still do email, you still do Facebook ads, you still do all these other things. It's just then you test other shit in the background. You start doing other formats of things, but it's still gonna work. Like even if people know they're being sold, still works. It's just it doesn't work as well as it used to. It doesn't have the highest conversion rate.
Yeah, because I'm hearing all of this and I'm just thinking like email's probably dying and Instagram posts are the way to go.
Oh
For now,
yeah.
at
I
least.
mean, definitely.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you should stop doing emails. Like emails still work, you know. It works
Yeah.
because it's like it works a lot better for gurus like we have, like when we're working with coaches, because like I said, the coaches already did the sales process. They already did it on YouTube. So then you're just coming in and reminding them constantly every day. Like you're doing the pitching for them. So like they can remain as like the content creator and like just give value, and they're slowly selling to people. And then over email, and this is shit I'm realizing now that like, man, when I worked with other YouTubers, if I could like tell them this shit and explain this, they would be able to sell so much better by just making their videos just that much more curated. If I could tell them, like, if I could explain this like sales process idea, then they could slowly break down their mechanism over time. But a lot of them don't do that shit.
I feel like
And-
this prospect I recently found, he's selling too much on his YouTube videos. Should I tell him about it to like keep it more on the
Yeah.
mechanism?
Say again.
Yeah, so this prospect I found, he's selling too much on the YouTube video. Like in the YouTube video, he says like, go to the link below and join my program, whatever. Should I tell him to just focus on the mechanism and then I'll handle the sales stuff?
I mean, you can definitely still pitch them to go. You can still tell them to click below, but it's just like fucking, it has to be valuable. Like they have to be learning stuff. Like a good example is like if you look at John Anthony Lifestyle, like his stuff is all pitches. Like you just know every video you watch is like barely any value. It's like most of the videos are just like him watching a video, laughing every like every 10 seconds, and then he's like, "You need to join my program because like it's really sick." I'm like, why? Like there's no value in it. It's not hidden. It's too obvious.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, that's why those dude like podcast VSLs like fucking kill it, bro. Because you think you're listening to a podcast and then really you fucking get sold. It's fucking hilarious. That's like a really new thing. There's not a lot of them out there. But basically, you have like a podcast, like you would do your normal podcast, but you have like this video podcast that people go to, and they're like, it's like episode like 78 or some shit. And in reality, the whole podcast is a VSL. Like they think it's value, and like there's an interview, there's a casual conversation with an interviewer, and then well, it works well when it's like someone who already has like, yeah, basically every podcast Tate is on. Yeah, dude, exactly. You don't realize, dude, Tate's smart as fuck. See, Tate knows the stuff like subconsciously. I don't think he like. I mean, he might know that he might know this on a surface level, but I think like really, really smart people understand this intuitively, but they don't think about it. Like if you can understand it, like conceptually, it makes it way more powerful because then you can like think about it. So like a lot of people understand it intuitively. Yeah, I think Tate does those just to fuck around, to be honest with you. I don't really think Tate gives a fuck. Like Tate doesn't really give a shit, honestly. But when I say like podcast VSLs, I mean like it's your own podcast. Teaches people and sells them Hustlers University. Yeah. Yeah, emergency meetings just fuck around. Tate's different. I wouldn't study Tate very much because he's not really trying to market it properly. He's just fucking around half the time. But at the same time, I mean, it is kind of, I guess it is kind of good because you believe he's just fucking around, but like he is selling you. So maybe he is hiding it. Who knows? It's like the fact that you think he's just fucking around, he can like, it turns your mind off so you can like slip in these ideas. I don't know. Damn, actually, now that I think about it, he's just running on TikTok culture. So he's doing like, he's entertaining them with like TikTok type of culture, but then he'll slip in like really deep ideas. Like he'll drop a seed of doubt in your mind, but like you're not focused on it because you're, so it's like, oh, fuck around, and then he'll say something really serious. And they'll like fuck around, and say something really serious. Like he'll drop a really hard idea that like hits your mind and you're like, you're still in that like entertainment mode. So you're not thinking about it. Yeah, bro, like most people don't understand this shit. It's like, man, if you understand this shit, man, you can honestly kill it. Like just understanding the whole like hiding the sales process is like fucking powerful. Yeah, bro, you are. Better use it for good. Better use it for good, my dude.
Yeah, you're making us all feel like eggs again.
Sorry, bro. Bro, when I first heard of this shit, man, oh my god. Fucking mind was like, goddamn, dude. My mind was just like shattering for days. I was just like, holy fuck. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. I'm like, oh, I'm just writing emails. I'm just randomly writing them. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And now I'm like slowly manipulating for good.
You turn from nuclear bomb to sniper.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I feel my energy
Chill.
waning. We'll probably end it soon.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. So, like this, I've been, what's the word? I've been jumping from like schedule to schedule. In terms of the first half of this week, I was only on like 2-3 hours of sleep. And then I crashed on Thursday. And I just realized I can't try to cope when I'm super tired. So
Yeah,
how
bro,
do
I
you
feel you
strike
on
the
that.
balance? Yeah. How do you strike the balance between like being productive as fuck and getting shit done and being in a state where you can actually write copy because it's like a mentally taxing task.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. That's been a constant challenge for me as well. I try to just like batch my stuff together. So try to do everything in like a 4 or 5 hour span. Well, it's more like 6 hours because I take walks and stuff. But yeah, I try and just do everything. Not like I don't do it back to back. I take breaks, but I try to like work for an hour or two and then take a little break and then come back work more. I try to just batch all my stuff together. So like I hustle every once in a while where I'll do like 8, 10, 12 hours when I need to. I think it's like a skill you need to develop, but you shouldn't like do it all the time. It's like one of those things you need to do so that you know you can do it when it's necessary. The majority of the time I'm spending like 5, 6 hours like hustling. So I spend like 4 or 5 hours. I probably spend like maybe 3, 4, or 5 hours actually writing. The rest of my time is like learning shit like this. It's like learning through like talking to people, reading books, watching videos, learning through the war room, just through like reading chats and shit. And then the rest of my time after that is like working out or yeah. It's something you're gonna feel. This is Earl, right? Yeah. Okay. I couldn't see the name. Yeah. I recognize your voice, but I wasn't sure. Yeah. So, bro, that's like a common feeling when you join War Room. Like you feel like you're just like, fuck, how the hell do I juggle all this shit? Because like you realize you need to do everything.
Exactly.
And
The
I
reason why I
still feel
went on
that
that.
shit, bro. I still feel that shit, but it's like one of those things that it's just like I guess it's a good thing because it makes you take action and do stuff, but
Yeah.
it's definitely different because like a lot of guys will talk about like hustling really hard, and like Tate will give examples of how he hustled for like 8, 10, 12 hours in a row, which to me is different because it's like he was doing like like a task that you just do. Like you don't have to like, it doesn't require a lot of like cognitive like creative power.
Doesn't work.
So it's hard to replicate that over to like copywriting. Like you can't just copyright every day for 12 hours. It's like impossible.
Yep.
So it's different. So like for me, I try and do 3-4 hours of like deep creative work, and then the rest of the hours is spent on like learning or doing shallow tasks like outreach, and then like working out and whatever. But you're gonna, man, your days just become way more full. Like the days of like where you just like have time to just like fuck around and do nothing, like start to wither away. You know, I still do stuff at nighttime, like for an hour or so. Like I'll, maybe watch a show or something, or like watch some YouTube. But man, yeah, your life starts to feel like you're just always doing stuff. It just kind of becomes like a new normal.
I see where you're coming from, man. That's has been my exact feeling like this past week. Because I started on mind earlier this week, and that's what caused me to even go on like the 3-day, 2 hours of sleep, tired and shit. And I realized like, fuck, this can't work with copywriting. Because like I said, you need that creative space, that few creative hours that you can put all your brain power. It's not a repetitive task, which you just need the endurance to go through.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of one of those things where like you got to balance speed with you got to balance speed with like growing slow, or not slow, but growing over, like realizing that like growth takes a long time. Like you're not like, I used to have this shit where I'm like, fuck man, I need to like do shit now, and it needs to like be done now, and like I just have this like feeling like it needs to be like finished at this moment. Like I need to finish big projects now. Like it's, your mind is like
Yeah.
wanting to do shit now, and it's like really hard. You got to like balance speed of execution, but also just still making sure you're taking care of your life and like your health and things like that. So I try and make sure I get good sleep, but then when I'm actually awake, I try and make sure I'm very purposeful with my time. And I think until you max out your time in the day where you're being really efficient, and then eventually you run out of time, that's when you either can wake up earlier or you hire someone to take over certain tasks. But yeah, you're gonna feel like you need to get to work because you're looking at people in the war room and stuff, but there still needs to be a balance of like, you'll find your natural balance. I just kind of started finding my own way, where my own groove, where I'm like, look, if I want to do this long term, I need to balance it properly. So it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm slowly finding the balance. I'm trying something similar to what you said, where I sleep enough hours. Enough hours for me is like 5 hours, maybe if I'm pushing it 7 hours. So I sleep enough hours, then uh, once I'm awake, I make sure I'm awake, like 100%. Stay the on or off. That's what Tate says. So when I'm awake, 100%, maximizing my time, all that. And it's been tough this past 2 days because I'm in the middle of the fast. If you know about the fast, so I'm in the middle of that. And yeah, it's my brain, my productivity has taken a huge hit. I'm operating like at 50% capacity right now. So
Yeah.
I'm just doing mostly shallow tasks, getting the things which I need to be done out of the way right now. Then when I'm back at 100%, get into writing the code, because I'm handling a bunch of big projects right now. I think I talked to you about them in the DMs. And that's what this book will help. That's why I bought it ASAP. That's right. Because what you're talking about is definitely what I'll be using in these projects.
Yeah, bro.
And
There's some days, man, I just fucking, oh man, I can't write for shit. Like, God, man, it feels like I'm fucking like forcing it. It feels shit. So like I try to lean into that. Like I try and judge whether I'm just being a fucking bitch and I need to like get into flow state first. So I always try and get into flow and then keep doing stuff. And then if it still feels like I'm like grinding, like my shit's like grinding, like gears are grinding against each other, like okay, it feels hard, then I'll just be like, okay, I need to do something else. So I'll just work on like a shallow task, or like I'll do stuff like this. Because like for me, teaching this stuff is still learning. So like it's going from feeling like you need to write to get better into, okay, let me write a certain amount, and then the rest of the time is like translating that knowledge to other people, learning through like sharing, because like I'm growing a lot through just sharing and like, you know, pushing it out my brain so new shit can come in. So yeah, it's just some days you're not gonna be able to write very well, and obviously if you have like timelines or deadlines, you have to do it. But if you don't have like a deadline, it's better to just like, all right, let me just push through to make sure I'm not being a bitch, right? So like I try and filter it. I'm like, am I just doing this? Am my brain trying to trick me? Because that's why I'll push through. And then if I still feel like that, then I'm like, okay, something's off. So let me just, because there's no point in forcing it out if it's gonna be shit. Like it's just not. It is cool if you're being paid. Like who the fuck cares? But like if you're being paid on like rev share, or like your client is like really hardly tracking your results, like then you kind of have to, it needs to be good. So like yeah, I try and do all my stuff on one day. So all my emails I do within like, all my emails for one client I do one day, the next day I do all my emails for another client, and then the rest of the week is like doing growth tasks. But if like one of those days it's really off, then it's like I'll just do it the next day. But because I don't do it, because I don't write every single day for like each client, like I used to do that where I'd write like before I'd wake up and write that day for that person, like to go out that same day. And that was like awful. Because if you felt really off, it's like your stuff's gonna suck. So
yeah, I guess this is the next level of like, from now, the first level is like getting clients, building up your client base and all that. Now the next is actually managing them, getting shit done in a time efficient way where you can still learn more about copy, still have guys in your pipeline, of course. I'm at the point where I can't source anymore. Not because like I still have some time, but if I get another client now, I can't handle the work. I've had a guy in my DMs on Discord offering me to write a sales page for them. I'm like, nah, I can't take you on, bro. It's I'm at
yeah,
that
bro,
point
it's such
right
a great
now.
feeling when that happens.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
But nah, bro, you're in the same cycle that I was in, where it's just like, I didn't really use this doc anyways. Yeah, you're just like in the same cycle that I was in, where I mean I'm still in this cycle where it's just like every day, like you don't feel like you're doing enough, and you feel like you need to do more. And it's like this ever flowing feeling of like you didn't accomplish enough as you could have, or like you didn't learn as much as you could have. Like that's just how I feel like pretty much 3 or 4 or 5 days out of the week. And when you look at it from like a macro perspective, and you zoom out, it's like when you zoom out from a macro perspective, you realize like you're making a lot of progress, like a ton. So yeah, just don't focus too much on the day to day, and just focus on the overview.
Bro, what the fuck? I don't know why you motherfuckers in the background. I see you in your cameras. I see you fucking yawning and getting distracted and shit. Why? They're dropping fucking diamonds here. Listen.
Pull out the sword. I'm just kidding.
Get my sword right now.
Oh shit, he's going to get it. Y'all are done for. A pool party. This man's dedicated.
Listen, I will skewer you. Now pay attention.
Damn, bro,
Class is in session.
terrified.
All right, that's all I had to say.
Oh man. But yeah, it's a perpetual feeling of like, man, you always feel like you could be doing more. It's fucking terrible. It's just like a fucking feeling, man. I felt like this the last week, bro. I didn't, because I have one client where like we're waiting to be verified on Instagram, so we're not posting. But like the verification process is taking way too long. It's been like 2 weeks. So like I wasn't writing for that client for like a whole 2 weeks, man. And like, oh man, I felt like my brain was like going to shit because I was spending so much, like 70-80% of my day was just like learning stuff. Like I wasn't actually applying it. And I realized how much my brain feels awful when I'm not doing shit. Like I felt fucking weird. Like I was just like, I felt like shit, bro, the past like 2 weeks because I was just like, what the fuck? And then yeah. So I try to make sure I try and execute all the time on the things I'm doing. I try and spend 30% of my time learning and like 70% actually executing. And then one thing I neglected early on was doing stuff like this, like doing calls or like chatting with people. So like it was a targeted attack. Yeah, bro. So yeah, so one of the things I did early on was I would chat with a lot of people in DMs, but I didn't get on calls. And I wish I got on more calls like this because as I speak to you guys, I learned so much. So a lot of times when I post things in the Discord, like insights, it's like something I learned like a few days ago. And the reason I'm sharing it is because I'm trying to like push it out my brain and like remember it. And I'm trying to push it out. Because like the more I share, the more I'm gonna like remember it and like solidify it and put it in my mind. So yeah, it consolidates your knowledge. Yeah. So I think like that's a big thing a lot of people don't do is they think that like to get good at writing, you have to just be writing. And like that is true when you first start out, like the first like few months, you just need to write a bunch. But then after that, once you have experience, you need to start reviewing noob copy, reviewing experienced people's copy, pushing out lessons, sharing insights. Cause like when you do that, it makes you grow so much faster and it solidifies all these concepts. So like I've grown a lot recently from like helping people. And I think it's like something I should have done more of when I started out was reviewing more copy as well as like pushing out insights to people and doing more like calls. Like just do, it doesn't even need to be like group calls like this. It could just be like one-on-one calls with like people. Because in the past like 2 months, man, I have like people that I'm in like other masterminds with that I jump on calls with and we just fucking talk for like an hour or two, just like randomly. We'll just start putting out like ideas and we'll just start talking. And like when I'm done with the calls, like a week later, I'll be like, man, like I'll just be thinking about all the shit I talked about and like I'll remember like certain concepts and like, man, I've grown so much just by doing that, by talking with people who are like at my level or like even below my level. Yeah. So I find people, I mean, that's what I did with Earl, right? Like Earl would ask me stuff. Like he didn't ask me as much as like some other people, but Earl would ask me stuff. And by me like telling Earl stuff and like watching him get results, like helped solidify shit in my mind because I'd like say shit and give him advice and then he would go and do it. And I learned a lot from that. And so like if he goes and does that with somebody else who starts asking him questions, as long as they do it in the right way. Like there's people in here, man, that ask me questions every day, but it's because they've been doing it for like 2-3 months, but they started out in the right way. They did it in a way where they like gave me value a little bit first. And then slowly over time, they just asked me questions. Now eventually like fucking Ricardo, man, he asked me like 30 questions a day, but like he's been talking to me since like day one, not day one, but he's been talking to me since like the first like few weeks. And like that motherfucker probably gets so much value, bro. I bet you I've told him like the most insane shit ever. Like the motherfucker's
Yeah,
sneaky
bro.
for a little 17-year-old, bro. He asked me like 30 questions a day. Like, and
Yeah,
no
bro,
one else
fuck
gets the shit.
Ricardo.
Anyone else messages me, I'm like, I fucking ignore them. So because they came in the wrong way, like this fucking they didn't approach me the right way. Like Earl approached me the right way. As long as, and here's the other thing too, is like if I give you advice and you don't implement it, I'm never giving you advice again because I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like you're just here to get value. You're just here to take shit. And you're not going to use it. Like, why am I going to give it to you then? Like, it's just pointless. And that's why I was able to like, yeah, exactly. That's why I was able to get a lot of advice from Andrew, because like Andrew would see me posting in the wins chat, and so it's like ego thing. Like if you stroke my ego by like I see you posting wins, it's like part of me is like, oh, I helped him do that shit. And it's like a fucking ego thing. I'm like, oh yeah, like it's an ego thing, but like who cares? Like, you know, like so when people ask me shit now, I'm like bro, 3 people on this call right now, like Ricardo has done shit that I told him and he got value, and now when he asks me shit, it's like my ego gets stroked because I'm like, well, I want to give him more value so he can post a win, and I could be like, oh, look at that shit. Same thing with Earl, and same thing with, I think it's Elia, or I don't remember his name. But like, I told him one thing and he like got a client later, and now I'm like helping people win is sick. So it's like, yeah, like those people that actually take action and do it now, like whenever they message me shit, I'm like, I'll answer, because yeah. So it's like, if you are gonna ask questions, implement, and also if you are gonna ask questions, come in the right way, like approach me in the right way, like you know. So that those guys that come in and like just fucking message me and like, hey, can you review my copy? Like I fucking ignore that shit. Like no. Like why you assume? It's like to me it's just like the assumption. It's like when people assume that you're gonna, that like they're entitled to your answer. It's like, then I don't want to answer, because it's like, well, why? Like if you just came in a way where you like more so asked like, hey, can I ask you a question real fast, or like, even those are annoying too. It's more, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer. Like, I don't know how to do what the right approach is. Just like certain people, I don't know. Ask Ricardo. He's like a genius at that shit, apparently. I don't remember how he started talking to me. Honestly, I think he just like built rapport with me by just like talking shit about the eggs in the chat. Like he just like DM'd me and was like, dude, these eggs are so annoying. I was like, bro, right? Da-da-da-da. And then after that, he's like, hey, can I ask you a question real fast? And I was like, sure. But like, because he built rapport first. He's sneaky, fucking little sneaky badger. Yeah, and then tagging me too. Yeah, because then it makes me look like, dude, it's like basic social psychology shit. It's like imagine you know have a boss, right? And like, or imagine there's like the CEO, and then there's like your manager, and then there's you. If you make your manager look good to the CEO, and you help your manager get promoted later, do you not think he's gonna like then help you get promoted next? Because it's like you make him look good, you make him feel good. So when people post like in the wins chat and they tag me, it's like I look good to Andrews, and then Andrew's gonna answer my shit more when I need help, because he thinks I'm helping people, which I am. So then it's like, because of that, then I'm more likely to help you, because it's like you're feeding that. And also I just like helping people. Like, I don't know, it feels good when you help someone win. So yeah.
That's the basis of sales.
Yeah.
Genuinely helping people.
Yeah.
That's how you make the most money.
Chief, I said scroll up to my first message to you, just to like, oh, what type of shit was I telling you? And I asked the most retarded question. So this is how it goes. What's up, Chief? I'm looking to begin cold emails. So I just want to ask, what niches have you had the most success with? Looking back at that, such an egg question that I get.
Yeah.
So many of
See, that's the thing, is you asked me that forever ago. So it was like, I was different then, because it was like, I hadn't been asked so many questions then. Like, people ask me that now and I just fucking ignore them, because I'm like, bro, it's in the tutorials, you dumbass. It's like, if you ask me something that's like obviously somewhere, or it's like when you ask something that's like, because at the time that wasn't in the tutorials, so like that was a genuinely fair question. But like now there's stuff that's like in the tutorials, and I'm like, bro, just go to the tutorials. Also, it's like when people ask you questions that if they just thought for 2 seconds, they'd figure out the answer. Like typically I don't want to answer that. But if someone's shown me like the reason I answered Elia recently was because he said, hey, I did XYZ thing, but didn't get a result. Can you look at why? Like that's different, because it shows me that you were willing to take action first, and like you were willing to put into work. You're not just like trying to circumvent work. You're not trying to like You're not trying to like put the work onto me. It's like you're doing work first, and then you're trying to actually genuinely get help or feedback on a certain thing you've done. Yeah, you message like 200 people. I'm like, oh, well, that dude's hustling. It's like, cool, let me help you optimize that shit. And then like the next day, I think he got like 2 or 3 replies just because I like changed like a few words. It was funny. Yeah, 3 out of 11. It's fucking damn good ratio. Yeah, now he's closed like, bro, didn't you have like 5 sales calls last week or this week or some shit? Like, what the fuck? It's fucking-
Badass.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I tried out a few stuff about new outreaches with the videos, and I got like out of 40 people, I got 10 replies and 5 sales calls, and I closed 2 out of them, and I
Yeah.
have 3. We rescheduled 3 out of them, so I believe I'll close another 2 in like 3 days.
fucking autumn.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like showing that you're willing to work, you know. It's like that's the thing. Because like, bro, I think it's just what pisses me off is like it ties straight back around to what we talked about with the low emotional state shit. So when you come in with that low emotional state and you're trying to put the burden of performance on me or on the professors, it's like annoying as fuck. It's like, bro, I'm not here to make you successful. Like I'm here to show you how to do it, but I'm not gonna do it for you. Like don't like it just comes from school, man. Like school teaches you to like, and your work teaches you to like put your thoughts into other, to give your power away and put your thinking into other people and allow them to think for you.
And you don't even have to answer. I mean, it's not, you don't get paid for it. So a lot of eggs
Yeah, dude,
think
exactly.
that you have to. Yeah, I mean, bro, I firstly receive a lot of email, a lot of DMs, so I don't know how you can manage. You're in the professors, man.
Bro, I fucking ignore half of them.
Damn. But and like the way they approach, like you said, they're like, "Hey, review my shit." Well, sometimes they don't even say. Sometimes they don't even say please. They're just like, "Hey, I'm working copywriting. Review. I'd appreciate if you reviewed it." That's it.
Bro, the worst is when they're like,
Any tips? Thoughts?
bro, I've had like one person call me and I was just like, I literally was like, are
Me
you
too,
fucking,
man.
I think I said like, I was like, are you
Same here.
fucking retarded? Why did you just call someone you don't even know? And he was like, oh, sorry, it was an accident. I was like, no, it wasn't. But then I was like, bro, imagine I'm like some hot girl on fucking Instagram. Would you just fucking call them? He was like, no. I was like, exactly. Why the fuck would you do it to me? He was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm like, fucking think then. Like what? Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, dude.
Man, my someone like called me on Discord. I didn't even fucking know him. It was an egg. And the problem is that it was ringing for like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then he was like, "Yeah, I did it by mistake."
Yeah, whoops, my bad, man. It's like when you shoot your shot with a girl, and then like she shoots you down. You're like, oh, my friend texted that. I was just kidding. It's like, bro, no, come on. Like, you try to like save face, but you look retarded. Like, yeah, I paid you $50. Like I made that joke all the time. Like, bro, I paid you 50. Like, I'm paying you to teach me. Like, I make that joke all the time. I used to make that joke all the time. Like, bro, this is what I pay you for. I said that shit. I said that shit all the time.
Bro. Yeah, well, at least you don't get fucking tagged or DM asking you to fucking mentor them because you have some fucking experience or something. Bro, people.
Bro, that's
genuinely think that
because I'm
doctor.
a douche. Like that's why I've like painted myself as like a dickhead, because I want people to like not DM me. Like honestly.
Nah, people think I genuinely think that I'm a doctor with like a lot of years of copywriting experience.
Oh.
They took the meme too far, man. I'm not joking. People call me, "Hey, Mr. Professional," or "Doctor." Hey, doctor, could you please?
God damn it, Tyler. God damn it, Tyler.
Fuck you, Tyler.
bad, my
Fuck my entire life.
Bro, yeah, the worst is when someone's like, hey, can I have some help? I don't know what to do. I'm a beginner. I'm like, follow the tutorials. I always say, follow tutorials, brother. He's like, none of this. Or he just said like, is none for this. I'm like, what the fuck? It's not even English. I'm like, literally, it says, I'm like, literally, bro, there's a ton of tutorials. It goes step by step. That's all I said, and he didn't respond. I'm like, fucking retard, dude. So you can't even do the basic shit. I'm like, bro, you have no hope. I don't know how they have patience for this shit. Like, Like Andrew and the professors are fucking nice. Cause like, bro, if that was me, I'm like Ben Settle, man. You're a retard. I'm picking your ass out. Like fucking bye. Same as you said, I'm like, oh, see you later, bro. I've refund your ass. Like, get the fuck out of my group, you idiot. Like they're too nice, bro. I can't do that shit.
Bro, at least back in my days, well, I say my days, like when HU kind of started, at least we followed the tutorial. Then we start asking questions. And if we didn't, we just shut the fuck up and then watch the videos, not to embarrass ourselves.
Yeah,
When we
because there was
ask
no
questions-
apprentices, man. There was just fucking
No, bro, they're
yeah,
just
bro.
shameless.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Half the time I'm just like, maybe I don't want to be an apprentice anymore. It's like fucking hell, bro. I'm just like, this is not worth. But the thing is, man, even before I was an apprentice, everyone was fucking tagging me because I was like one of the only people posting like back-to-back fucking wins, dude. So like everyone just considered me an apprentice for the longest time. And so yeah, this shit was hella annoying.
Well, bro, that was your profile pic. You shouldn't have picked like a classic profile pic, man. It made you look like a professional. They were like, ah, this man, this fucking chief, he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
Bro, man, it's
Fucking
just a meme.
Lancelot over here, like, hi, chief. How much do you suggest I should charge to offer these services? I said, bro, I have no clue. Some of these sound weird as fuck. I was like, you applying for a job? LOL. This is like back in January.
Bro, you still got the DM? Still got the DM?
Yeah, I'm looking at the old DMs.
Don't put me on blast, Chief, please.
Bro, if we got a bad thing about Arno and Andrew, holy shit. Their DMs are blowing up like every like 5 minutes. Must
Those
be
guys
like
have
50
PTSD.
DMs. Yeah, Arno had to go to Spain to get away from this shit.
He left us with that shit.
He said on the beginner's chat that he was praying for everybody's fascinations.
He was looking at everyone's fascinations like day after day. I'm not surprised he decided to fuck up the Spain. Okay, good for him. He's doing the God's work. Looking at those fascinations. I've seen those fascinations.
Yo,
Trust me.
hey, chief. I'm about to ask you a huge favor. The payment for HU2 has come up, and apparently debit cards aren't accepted. I'm only 18,
Coming since
and I've
then.
never worked a job, so I can't apply for a credit card in my country, Kenya. My parents don't really approve of what I'm doing here. So, do you think there's any way we could work something out? Like, can I send you $50
Oh,
through
scam
PayPal?
artist.
Can I send you $50 through PayPal and you attach your card to my Launchpad subscription? I won't hurt any hard feelings. And then this man, Lance, sent a photo. He's like, this is what I look like, by the way, so you can make sure.
I was saying on your trust. I need to pay for this.
Damn, bro. My man, Lance dedicated, bro. He's like, I have to stay and hate you, man. This is the shit. I can't because they don't
Yeah,
accept
it's
my
like
credit
that.
card.
The
Like that African
Nigerian
prince.
scammer, man.
Dude, I literally thought you were. I was like,
Nigerian scammer.
bro,
Holy
wait. I mean, bro, when you look at Earl's profile photo, I was like, this man thought to scam you for like $50. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Look, I was young. I was naive.
And now he's a big G, bro. That was really funny though.
Yeah, bro. I was basically asking for your credit card details.
How's your trades going?
Oh man. Nigerian scam finesse. Yeah. Dude, that shit was too funny.
Man, that was only 6 months ago, man. The progress we're making in such a short amount of time. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, bro, you went and killed it.
Yeah, now he's scamming, Jay Waller and Sterling Cooper.
Exactly. So I have all their credit card details. I can tell you the last
Bro,
phone
on that call,
Justin's
bro,
card.
on the video, I see myself not paying you any more money. And this fucking Earl was like, oh, that's what I like to hear.
Dude, yeah,
Straight what we did. Yeah, no filter.
yeah, bro, he needs to make a product, man. Like he would kill it if he had his own thing.
Bro, man, it's been so hard to convince Justin to sit down and write make like a course. Even Stanley has been trying to convince him. Mostly because this isn't really Justin's main thing. His main thing is his construction company.
Yeah, he just doesn't really care that much. Yeah.
Yeah, he cares some significant. Like he cares, like he still wants to get HU sales. Main thing he's selling is HU and the war room. He still wants to get those sales. but he's just like he's being very aware of how he's portraying himself, the brand he's building. Like he's
Yeah.
been moving farther away from the dating things because he wants it to be more of a business channel and all that. So he's in the middle of figuring things out. But it is what it is. I've been working with other clients, they're paying me a lot more and other stuff. When it comes to my view of working for Justin, I don't really see myself as working for him for the money. It's mostly for the opportunities and the connections I can get.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
working.
That's what I saw it as too. I was like,
Yeah.
Dad, it's like perfect for
so-
networking and stuff.
Yeah,
Getting
and he said he'll pay me more anyway, so but I guess it pans out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end the recording, but we'll keep talking for a bit.